And you guys are live.
Thank you. Have a motion to call the meeting to order?
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Please rise to the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, so this is our annual budget hearing. Myself and Mr. Schneider are going to give the board and the community an overview of our budget. One of the things, as you've seen at every meeting, we've really tried to highlight student academics, student achievement, student programmings that we have at the school district. So I'm going to read some of them to you. So from the beginning of this process and the Board of Education, we have a huge focus on student learning, and due to COVID and kind of our history here, a focus on social and emotional well-being of our students. We've been able to remain under the property tax cap. That was a goal of ours when we began. Maintain all of our existing programs, our current staffing levels, and continue our academic programs for all of our buildings. In addition, some of our accomplishments, and we just talked about this over the last few weeks, East Hampton at the high school level, there we go. Good one. At the high school level, we have our advanced placement program with our AP capstone and AP psychology classes. Outstanding college acceptances again this year, including schools such as Cornell, Duke, Yale, Harvard, in addition to numerous state schools and other private institutions. Our growth of our science research program. Last year, we committed to an additional staff member, and that program has grown as seen by our last science program.
I failed this battle.
Okay,
so
I'll read it out. Comprehensive fine arts and music programs, and the expansion of our culinary program. Growth of our interscholastic program, sports program, which includes our girls flag football team and our unified athletics program. The middle school, the growth of Bonic on Board and wellness and the Science Olympiad programs. John Marshall, the growth of our dual language instructional program, the debut of our new reading and writing program. For all students, we have continued a hard and strong focus to mental health and mental well-being. Our growth of sources of strength at the high school, and now that's in John Marshall, and Athletes Helping Athletes programs. In addition, some non-instructional programs, security upgrades in all of our buildings, new gym partitions at the East Hampton High School, refurbished softball field, tennis courts, renovated HVAC equipment at all of our schools, our new buses, and shared services maintenance contract with area districts. So Sam and I are going to split this a little bit. As you may know, and as the community knows through our earlier presentations, we had a lot of challenges this year, which really started with the monumental increase in health insurance that we received in January. That really took us back a little bit in where we were going to go forward. And Sam will kind of elaborate a little further. When we got the numbers, the property tax that was allowed for an increase of $1.7 million. That didn't cover much of anything before we even put in any of our contractual raises or anything like that. So we were really working very tightly, and thus kind of how we just came in right under the cap. So I'll turn it over to Sam Schneider, Assistant Superintendent for Business.
thank you very much. So, as Mr. Fine said, even before we started trying to think about what program we wanted for next year academically, we were in the hole because the increases that were outside of our control already passed by where we could be with the property tax cap. This is the proposed expenditure budget, and I particularly want to thank Tiffany, Sarah, and Cindy, amongst any administrator, for all their help in putting together the budget. But you can see all the administrators, particularly Cindy, Sarah and Tiffany worked very hard to make sure that we got the budget to where it needed to be so we could preserve all of our programs, keep student services the way they were. You can see I don't need to read the ups and downs here for you. I will say that all mailboxes in the district are shortly, if they have not already received, are shortly going to receive the Observer. We have extra copies here. There are budget books in each of the schools and in the public library where people can examine the line by line budget. It's also on our website if they want additional information, but that's the summary of it there. That's of course, so this of course, the expenditure budget. How we pay for that is the revenue, and you can see that we are property tax cap compliant, which I think is the important takeaway from here. We are making use of our reserves, which were set up for times when finances were tight, which is certainly what we're in right now. And you can see the tuition we get from our partner districts or sending districts as well there. So this is an estimate of where school tax is going to go, and I want to emphasize that this is an estimate. It presupposes that the assessed valuation of the land in the district doesn't change from year to year, which we know it does. So this is just an estimate. You can see basically for the average assessed home in the town of East Hampton, we're talking $4.91 a month is what the increase equates to. Now, in addition to the budget on the ballot, there's going to be a second proposition, which is going to be asked to approve 5 projects from the capital reserve. And we've talked about this, but I think it deserves a second mention here. And the most important part of this, the capital reserve is a savings account. Taxes are not impacted 1 penny with the approval of this proposition. So we have basically 5 projects. The first, to put a cafe veranda, which I think is the title we've settled on, outside the high school cafeteria here. Yes, after some disagreement as to what we were calling it. So students will be able to eat outside in pleasant weather. We have the refurbishment of the parking lot here at the high school. Its cracks are going to be filled, select areas are repaved, new concrete installed in areas you can see where concrete has not stood up to the test of time. At the middle school, the long requested, desired lockers are being taken care of. All the existing lockers will be leaving. Brand new lockers will be coming in. It's also going to take care of some trip hazards that are in the hallway. You can see in the lower left there from where lockers probably were at some point and were never replaced. The parking lot at John Marshall is going to receive some serious attention. There's going to be a lot more repaving there because the condition of it is worse than it is here. There's going to be asphalt sidewalks and replaced with concrete, and the storm drains will be worked on so we have better drainage in that parking lot. You can see some pictures here, and again, all of this is on our website. This presentation will be posted on our website tomorrow morning as well. But you can see, you know, here the condition of the parking lot really has long outlived its appropriateness. And then we're going to make some really exciting improvements in our grounds facility. We're going to pave around the grounds facility. It's going to cut down the dust that kicks up when vehicles move around there. We're going to install a bathroom, which has long been needed for the staff that work there. There's currently no restroom facilities for them where they work. And we're going to install 2 small fuel tanks to allow us to fuel our buildings and grounds, our maintenance vehicles on site instead of having to take staff time to bring them into town and pay the higher prices for fuel there. So again, no impact on the taxes if the voters choose to approve Proposition 2. You can see the budget breakdown there. We have included inflation costs. This is because the number of these things need to be planned out in greater detail for contracting purposes. Some of the stuff needs permitting. So by the time all that's said and done, we anticipate prices will rise. So you can see we're budgeting $3.9 million for this project. And again, no impact on taxes.
So just before I go into the last slide, Sam, like when we look at all those things that we're doing, the capital, using in the capital reserve, you know, is this something the community is going to see, you know, if they approve it the next day, the next week? How long is this process just to accomplish these, you know, small things?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the projects that are going to go soon, happen soonest are the parking lot projects. And even that, we're not likely to see this summer. It's probably too late to get on the schedule of a contractor after voter approval in May. And obviously you can't do a lot of parking lot work during the school year because the parking lots are in use. So probably realistically, it's going to be next summer before we see the parking lot. The work at the grounds facility is going to require several permits from the county health department. We are being told anecdotally that the wait for that is multiple months, 6, 8 months, just to get the permit. That's after the designs are submitted. And so I think it's going to be a while. But probably aside from the parking lot, the next quickest thing is going to be the lockers. But again, that's going to be a supply chain issue. We could submit the order for the lockers in June, and depending on where the manufacturer is with that, it might be another 3 to 6 months waiting for it. We get into the issue of where we get in terms of.
About 10 years, so it's fine.
We'll replace the high school lockers before we.
Right. So it depends when we're gonna, when we're gonna get the stuff.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is that, voters understand once they approve it, we will go into a full mode to make it happen as soon as possible. And some things are out of our control.
And Sam, a question with the proposition, with this being on there, will it say the capital reserve is a savings account? This is not impacting, will it say that?
No.
The language exactly, I don't know that it says it. The board adopted the resolution in March, which says exactly what's going to be in the language. I can't remember off the top of my head if it says that, but it certainly.
Just make sure to, whatever we say.
Yeah, and that's why we need to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll assume that 99.5% of district voters are not watching the hearing right now.
Let me see.
So I just assumption, sorry, but maybe, all right, maybe that's too there. But I can't remember what we're allowed to. I mean, I know the newspapers have generally. I mean, I think it would be helpful. I'm sure they will cover this. If we make sure that we have a one-page explanation of what our ballot issues are.
Hearing in the Observer, which is going home to everybody, I'll just
Right.
read from one of the paragraphs in the note that Adam has here. In addition to the budget, voters will be asked to approve expenditures from our capital reserve savings account to pay for needed renovations in each of our buildings. Approval of this second proposition will not impact your taxes. Funds for these improvements are already in the bank and are only usable for improvements such as the ones that.
So which
That's good.
which explains it if people read this, and so I would say.
There will be another mailing we are required to do. It's called the 6-day budget notice, which lists everything that's going to be on the ballot. And it clearly does state that the second proposition has no impact on taxes.
All right, have we written that already?
Yeah, it has to be mailed pretty in
Okay.
4 days. So.
Okay, I'm only saying that maybe it would be helpful for us just to have a one pager explaining this so that it could go out to the, the newspapers and other people. I don't know if you're allowed to give it a budget.
We'll figure out what the best
Yeah.
approach to that is. But
The same people will not read that. They didn't watch this meeting. That's the only. That was like to get
Hopefully the local paper will lay up these things out.
right. Well, they report on this.
Schools, social media
Yeah, I would
accounts,
say like
websites.
Parent Square, that's
Parent
something they
Square.
could send out, because
Yeah.
I feel like
Have to be careful with that.
No, you
Well, you're explaining it. You're not saying
Well,
you can explain.
I think we want to be careful about communicating with some voters and not others. And I think whatever we do put out needs to be said to all.
Well, you do it in the
Yeah.
news and whatever.
But, we will figure out the best way to get that
Well, our
message out.
website communicates to all voters.
Yeah,
Yep.
that- And again, all the information that we've talked about is on our website.
Yeah.
This presentation will be on the website tomorrow morning. The graphics of this, this will be on our website in PDF format. 6-day budget notice is already up there. So, I think there is plenty of information available, but we can, certainly reach out to the media as well.
And going back, that is May 16th, Tuesday, May 16th is the budget vote, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. at East Hampton High School. On the left side of the building, the Board of Education room, which is considered 4 Long Lane. Absentee ballot applications are available by contacting District Clerk Carrie Stevens. Carrie's email's up there, and if anybody has any questions, community-wise regarding the budget, please feel free to reach out to myself or Mr. Schneider.
Can I just make one other point? First of all, we've been very fortunate in this district that we've had such a supportive community, and our budgets have passed by great margins before. I think largely because our voters understand that we are very careful with their money and it's going directly towards the kids and towards education and all of that. But I just want, if you can for a minute, because just to remind people the importance of this vote and what happens if people don't come out and vote, and if if a budget didn't get voted on.
Okay, in general, if voters choose not to approve the budget, the board has a choice at that point. Either they can put up a new budget, which can either be the same or a reduced budget, or they can choose to go directly to contingency, which is fairly devastating for any academic program.
What's the amount?
We would have to cut probably close to $2 million out of the budget. And on top of that, we can spend no money on new equipment.
Right.
And so, not to put too fine a point on it, but a lot of programs that make this district great will have to go.
Right.
Because you still have to meet all the mandated stuff and all the non-mandated stuff. And I don't think I need to say exactly what that is. All the non-mandated stuff will go. I have worked in a district that's on contingency. It's very
It's terrible.
difficult. It's very disheartening for students. It's disheartening for the educators. It's not good.
So a no vote on, or a non-approval on the budget would mean austerity or another vote.
Well, it's entirely within the board's discretion. If the voters were to not approve the budget, you can either go directly to contingency, which is what they used to call austerity, now they call it contingency, or you could choose to go to a second vote, which would be 3 weeks after the budget vote date. It's not a pleasant experience, but obviously the voter's choice. I do think that with the board's guidance and
It's a great budget.
administrative
Yeah.
help, we have crafted a budget here that is property tax compliant, that preserves the programs that folks in this community are proud of, that allows us to keep delivering the same level of services to our students, and keeps property taxes well within reason. And I think that this is something that, to go back to this estimate here, we're talking for an average assessed home of $5 a month. And so I think that's the number that maybe people should think about as they consider their options here.
Give up a couple
Starbucks.
one Starbucks a month.
One coffee.
Yeah.
Or don't, and just pay the $5.
Right.
Whichever one you want. Thank you, Sam. I know that this is your first full budget that's yours. Thank you for, your hard work. Adam and on down the line, everybody puts in.
Particularly some of the.
Absolutely. Everyone's a part of it. And the truth of it is that we've been talking about this since January. That's the board. You guys start before then. And it's a year-long process that I'm sure you're glad to see come to an end. But thank you for your.
I'm already thinking about next year.
I'm sure and the year after. Yeah, I know you.
No, it's true. JP, I appreciate the comments. This is a wonderful district, and obviously the community is very supportive of everything that the district does. And I'm very thankful to be here. So thank you.
Do we have any questions from callers?
On this,
There are no callers on the line on my end.
Surprise.
yeah. John, do you have any questions? All right. Anybody,
Vote early, vote often.
anybody in the board have a question for Sam? I think that we've done what we've done for the last, many years before I was on the board. And it's going to get tougher. It's going to get tougher.
But I think that this school district is really the heart of this whole community. We're the first or second largest employer in the district.
The person.
The town. So we're the largest employer in this district. Our kids, what we do really says
And
what the
look at
values of this community are, and our values are our kids and education. And I think
when you pull in
the results, you see the results.
when you pull in here today as a board member, you have to park all the way back by the high school entrance because there's a lot of sporting events going on. You look at the fields, they're packed. It's a great thing to see. When you look at the college acceptance schools that
They're
we're pulling through,
remarkable.
they're unbelievable. And I think it's a overall big picture of our district and sort of, sometimes you just have to put your money where your mouth is.
And
And
even last week
Go.
with the science symposium.
I missed it. I know I was away.
Standing room only. It was really wonderful.
Yeah.
We always talk, this is really the heart of what keeps our kids busy in the winter, during the year. It's where the social activity is, it's where the cultural activity is, it's where the academic, where the athletic is. And I think that we're very fortunate, and I think everyone's done a good job in putting together the budget. It's a budget we could be proud of, and I hope,
And
everyone.
it's a lot of money, and we get
out
that.
to vote.
We get that. It's a lot of money. There's a lot of this budget that's beyond our control. It's a mandate. So when you look at the controllable portion of the budget and the uncontrollable portion of the budget, it's a big difference.
JP, as we said at the top of the presentation, before we even got out of the gate, planning what we
Right.
wanted,
Right.
items that are completely out of our
Well,
control.
look at healthcare. Look at healthcare with almost $1.2 million increase.
Increase, yeah.
Increase,
Out of
not
1.7 that we were gonna be allowed.
right. So do
That's
that.
before raises.
Right.
It's a budget we can be proud
And
of.
a bunch of other things that are completely out of our control, postage fees and
Yep.
cost of utilities, cost of insurance, but thanks to everyone's hard work, we've made it work. And, boards for their support and those in the hands of the voters, and they can weigh in on May 16th from 1 to 8 in the boardroom or seek an absentee ballot if that date doesn't work for them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
But I will, and she's gonna be joining the group, so this will be a real nice opportunity. We were invited to do it in Sag Harbor,
Yeah.
but Kara was able to convince them to come to the middle school. So our kids will have a private screening and they'll have a chance to, have this Q&A.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, so it just,
That's going to be on Monday, the 15th of
yeah.
May. Yep.
In a proud mom moment, I will have to say that when my son was a high school student, he had been running track and then he had hurt himself and had to stop, and he started to do as a project to work with the Plain Sight Project, and he worked and sort of introduced Ms. Nelson to it and helped. It was right before COVID to take a curriculum to have it start putting work there. It was a really valuable. She's been great on it, and it's a phenomenal story in East Hampton. I mean, most people don't know, like there was a lot of slave owners in East Hampton.
Yeah, we had a presentation at the East Hampton Library Board, and the director there showed us some of the documents, and it's really amazing to see. And our students in 7th grade are going to be the beneficiaries of that, but more importantly, through with their teachers' support. So this is not just a presentation or a film in isolation; it's with her work that's going to help it be richer.
They taught a class, and the thing that's remarkable is the Long Island collection at the library has like receipts.
Yeah.
And my son, when he was doing the work on it, found a receipt that showed that someone was paying more for cheese than they were for a female slave, which says a lot about a lot.
Absolutely.
And why it is so important for us as a country to tell the true story of history.
Correct.
The true story of history, because we all know that history was written by the winners.
That's why this is so important. So I will, I can get you more details about it. I'm going to send a note out to the parents when we get a little bit closer.
Terrific. I'm glad we're teaching history.
Yep, me too. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Hi, everybody. So just to add on to what Kathy mentioned about the May Day run, though she did win the Who's Gonna Take It today. Just a reminder that the proceeds that go to the Tyler Project, which, as we know, was in honor of Tyler Beltich, who an East Hampton grad who died by suicide. I do know that his parents, Vicky and Belinda, are very grateful for the support, and they're grateful to be chosen as the donor. So, as a side note, and I also want to echo Karen that thank you to our teachers for Teacher Appreciation Day and for all of their efforts all year round, but especially today. And apparently next week. So Teacher Appreciation Day is today and week is next week. So
We're combining it to 2 weeks celebration. Terry and I spent at least 2 hours today talking about it.
Figure out what it is.
We are very appreciative.
So we're not celebrating today or next week, but tomorrow. Thanks to our parents. I stole this idea from Charlie and Karen that our parents are putting on a luncheon for our teachers here. So in addition to being grateful to our teachers, also to our parents. So we also, of course, had the Science Research Symposium, which was our big news. Thank you so much for those of you who were able to make it. It was tremendous. Paul, Stephanie, and Renee, just in the whole science department, worked so hard to make it happen. Everything from sending out invites to town officials, the town board. I think even President Biden got an invite. He didn't make it, but I think he might have known about it. Thanks, Stephanie. But it was very cool because each of the students had to invite 10 people. And so many of the middle school teachers who had them in middle school were there. and we're able to see their research come full circle. So it really was tremendous, and everything they did, just applying for the grants for the printer so that their students' presentations were so professionally done and were presented flawlessly. The auditorium was packed. And I mentioned that because you all know that I'm a cheerleader for everything, extracurricular sports, the play, but it was special because the auditorium was packed for their academic excellence, and it gave them the forums, the public forum to, show their academic prowess when it comes to their research, particularly after 3 years of hard work. So, and the students just brought it. They were well-spoken, they were professional. Our seniors who presented were just out of this world. For what it's worth, I understood about 50% of what they said, which I think just speaks to the academic nature of their research. So it was just incredible, and it was quite moving from my lens, because their last slide, the seniors, they spoke about their future plans, and many of them spoke about how they hope to continue their research, either in that exact same field, but at the next level. So we're certainly inspiring them, and hopefully they will take it with them. So it was tremendous. So we also had National Honor Society. We had 65 students inducted, which was fantastic. That's our largest group ever. So thank you to Billy Barber and Kathleen Brown for all the behind the scenes work to make that happen. And speaking of Billy Barber, so if I were a smarter woman, he would be presenting tonight on the Build On trip. As promised, he did fill me in, and our Build On students presented to our faculty yesterday about their trip with Billy and Robin Jehoda. So they just went on and on. I'm now going to have them run the faculty meetings from here on out, because they did a much better job than I do. But just, the cultural experiences that they had on the trip. They spoke about how when they first get there, there's a covenant signing, and one woman in the village, signed by her thumbprint, and just how important it is or life-changing it was for our students to witness that. And they also spoke about how a lot of the money, they raised $90,000, and part of that money goes to a literacy program, particularly for women, and the people in the village promised to keep that going. So they also spoke about different cultural experiences. They did a gender talk with other people in the village. They learned how to make tamales, which sounds very simple, but they grew their own corn. And so, the locals were flawless in making the tamales, and our students were a mess, but they felt so guilty wasting anything that they had made. So our students said it was truly life-changing for them. So a very cool thing, and next year I will time it right to have them tell you all about it rather than me. We also had our personal best ceremony. Mrs. Peterson and Miss Marsilio and the guidance department organized that for a way of celebrating our 9th graders who have made a wonderful transition to the high school. It was very touching as well, because our guidance department honored Jim Stewart by giving him the ultimate personal best lifetime achievement award in his last year. And he was the keynote speaker, which was just wonderful. So last but not least, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. As we know, it is a very stressful time for our students, particularly those taking AP exams with regents coming up, college acceptance denial, so on and so forth. So our mental health team has started a campaign of sorts and put up flyers all over the building about stress management. They have a small segment on BBS for how to navigate and some coping mechanisms for stress and all of that. So chipping away at that and keeping it in mind. And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right. Do we have anybody LTV for a public comment?
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Make the motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? The superintendent's report and recommendations. Get there. Item number 1. Recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board accept the letter of resignation from Andrea Vera from the position of paraprofessional effective May 2nd, 2023 at the close of business. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District pursuant to Rule 14 of the Suffolk County Civil Service Commission and upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools does hereby appoint Andrea Vera to the position of Office Assistant, Spanish speaking, for a probationary period of 26 weeks, effective May 3rd, 2023, and is to be paid at the annual salary basis of $42,485. I have a motion?
I make a motion. Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Replacement, civil service tasks, provisional. Long story. It's, yes, we are finally replacing positions because we have new lists now
Good.
from civil service.
Computer's working again?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 2, recommend the board approve the following resolution, whereas on November 14th, 2022, Lenny Lipez was appointed by the Board of Education to a provisional appointment as Office Assistant, Spanish speaking, and whereas the East Hampton Union Free School District, having been advised by the Suffolk County Department of Civil Service that said provisional appointment is to be terminated on May 15th, 2023. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District, under the power vested onto it under the terms of Suffolk County Civil Service Department of Civil Service, hereby appoints Yolani Lipez for a new provisional term as Office Assistant, Spanish speaking, effective May 16th, 2023, with such provisional appointment to last the length of time as to be determined by the Suffolk County Department of Civil Service under the conditional terms of the provisional appointments. If you understand that, can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second? That's the definition of civil service right there.
Right.
Yeah, it's a provisional term extension of a provisional term, new provisional term for the same person who's been here filling a role that we can't fill.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
Thanks, Tim.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 3, recommended the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District pursuant to Rule 14 of the Suffolk County Civil Service Commission and upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools does hereby appoint Melissa Musio to the provisional position of Office Assistant, Spanish speaking, effective June 5th, 2023, as to be paid at the annual salary base of $42,485. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion. Second.
Discussion. Did you go to East Hampton School? I think I know her. I think.
Yes.
I know her dad.
Replacement, obviously Marcia moved up.
Okay.
Somebody moved into Marcia's position, that hence back to that the other position at John Marshall.
Okay.
So these are not new staff positions, they're filling spots that we need. to fill.
Yes, there are people have left. I mean, this literally is over probably a 2-year period of people leaving, replacements, no list, the cyber
was commandeered and hacked. We couldn't get anyone. It would give us a list. We lost 2 folks. We promoted another, and then we hired in transitory, like some paraprofessionals who are Spanish speaking, so the list would come out. So it's just a whole shuffle. So we did create para positions to fill others, but they're gone now to get filled. So we're finally whole.
a lot of movements.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 4, recommend the board approve the following resolution, whereas Danielle Mullen was appointed for a 4-year probationary period as a secondary math teacher commencing August 29th, 2019. Whereas during that probationary period, Ms. Mullen was granted a childcare leave, which included a total of 24 days of unpaid leave. Now therefore be resolved that Ms. Mullen's probationary period be hereby extended from August 28th, 2023 for a period of 24 calendar days to September 22nd, 2023. I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Any discussion? I think it's pretty
We
self-explanatory.
just have to do that, right?
Yep.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5, recommend the board approve the following amended resolution, whereas Brittany Thompson was appointed to a 4-year probationary period as a secondary math teacher commencing on August 29th, 2019. Whereas during the probationary period, Ms. Thompson was granted childcare leave, which included a total of 136 days of unpaid leave. Now therefore be it resolved that Ms. Thompson's probationary period be and is hereby extended from August 28th, 2023 for a period of 136 days, calendar days, to January 11th, 2024. I have a motion?
Make a motion. Second.
Second, same thing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 6, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Be it hereby resolved, the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District approves returns of the agreement dated May 2nd, 2023 between the district and the East Hampton Union Free School District School-Related Professionals Association regarding all 183-day employees commencing work the 2023-24 school year on August 31st, 2023. And be it further resolved that the president of the Board of Education be authorized to execute the resulting collective bargaining agreement on behalf of the board. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
We start the year earlier. We
Yeah.
need our SRPA members to come in. It's not in our contract, hence we have to do an MOA when we start the year before September.
Okay. Well, thanks to them for doing that. Otherwise, we'd
Absolutely
be starting
appreciate it.
God knows when, so.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, recommend the board approve the high school boys and girls cross-country teams to compete in the Ocean State Invitational, Goddard Park, East Greenwich, Rhode Island, on September 23rd, 2023. The estimated cost of the district is $2,740. Other expenses include ferry fees in the amount of $1,140 will be offset by student fundraising. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
God, they always, is this?
Oh,
This is the Brown invitation.
Yeah, it's the Brown, okay.
It's
thanks.
the new
Yep.
thing. of the Brown.
This is early, right?
Yeah.
Not early.
This
Yeah.
is early.
We're getting the information.
Early.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, that's great.
So plans could
Thank
be
you.
made.
Yeah, I think we should approve this after that, but anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 8, recommend the board approve the following resolution, whereas the New York State Education Department Office of Child Nutrition has a program called the Community Eligible Provision, which permits certain schools in New York State to allow all students to have breakfast, lunch daily at no charge, regardless of their family's ability to pay. And whereas the East Hampton Union Free School District has applied to the community eligible provision in the calculations of free and reduced breakfast and lunch costs for the students attending John M. Marshall Elementary School. And whereas such calculations have determined that it is financially beneficial to the district to use the community eligible provision at John Marshall. And whereas application to the community eligible provisions at John Marshall School result in all students of the school, regardless of their individual family ability to pay, to receive breakfast and lunch every school day at no cost for the entire 23-24 school year. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby approves the district's participation in the community eligible provision for the 2023-24 school year at the John Marshall Elementary School, authorizes the president of the Board of Education or the superintendent of schools to sign the application and any associated document. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion. Second.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
This is.
Oh, this is a good thing. Yeah, Sam can give you the specific details.
Taxpayers.
Why does it only apply to the elementary?
So it's the calculation works off a percentage of students who are what they call directly certified. So they're on some sort of other government assistance program. And so you submit what your it's called direct cert, what your direct cert numbers are, and then the state does the calculation, kicks back whether your school is eligible. This is a great program. It's going to mean that every student at John Marshall can eat breakfast and lunch every day for no cost to their families. I want to thank Karen a lot. She's really done marvelous work in rejuggling how her morning schedule works to create a more workable breakfast plan for, assuming that most students are going to take advantage of that. Every study out there on this shows that hungry students do not learn. So this is a great program. I hope we can eventually, get it into the middle school and the high school also. There's some in the budget that's being passed in Albany now. There's some provision, there's some discussion that they're going to be enhancing the program to make it wider. I haven't gotten anything official on what's in the budget and what's not. But at the moment, John Marshall's the only school that we have that's eligible. but I hope the program expands.
Sam, and this is fully subsidized. It's not like we're not paying this out of district money, even though it's a good cause. This is fully subsidized. Is that
Yeah, I mean, the formula is complicated, but essentially what happens is they reimburse, the federal government, the state reimburse us at a higher rate for meals that are sort of free versus not free. It shakes out to them. It's financially advantageous for us to do this. It doesn't cost us any money. And the number of meals that we serve is going to increase exponentially. That's what's
And
When
is
does
this,
this begin? So,
next year,
September.
and is it, you have to recertify every year?
No, once you certify, your numbers are good for either 3 years or 5 years. I can't remember which number it is, but you are free. And you certify at a particular rate, whatever your direct cert rate is. So that's good for a certain number of years. If the next year your direct cert rate increases, you can apply again and lock in that higher rate for another block of years. So every year that you can get a higher rate, we reapply. If years where the direct cert number goes down, we don't reapply, and we coast off of that higher rate for the balance of the certification.
Okay,
but it's worth it to look into it every year.
Every year,
right.
we check.
And the reason why I asked is just, it's good to have some continuity so that families who go to, most families will be at John Marshall for 5 or 6 years. And so they go there and they can know that for several years, it's not going to be like next September. Okay, you're not gonna- Great.
Board's eligibility for this program has been increasing over
That's
the last
great.
few years.
Terrific.
So there's really no evidence that suggests it's going to start going down. If it does, this locks us in for a few years.
Great.
So, but it's a done deal, John Mark.
John Marshall.
We're not just applying and hope we get it.
No, it's
It's a
not
done
deal with
deal.
John Marshall, as long as you put this.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Number 9. That the board approve the following resolution, whereas in the best interest of the district, examine all alternative work, reduce workers' compensation costs. I'm not gonna read it. I've done what I would normally do anyway, so.
I know.
It's for workers, you guys are proud of me, right? It's all out there online. It's for workers' comp. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion second.
Second, and
we're looking, I was not pleased with some of the response and the costs of what we were doing in this consortium. I went to Sam about it. We talked about it for a general savings to the district. It's a year-long process, Sam, I believe, to get out.
We notify the consortium by June 30th of this year. We are released on June 30th.
Yeah, so that's why we're acting now.
gotcha. All right, any questions from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 10, recommend the board approve the following budget transfers. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion second.
Second, Sam, do you want to give us an overview?
All the transfers are to cover our salary, as we've been recoding things to try to, get our budget in as straight and order as possible for compliance with what the comptroller looks for, moving money around in order to do that. But it's all budget neutral. It's just rearranging.
Right, it's code recoding.
All right.
Recoding.
Yeah, recoding, just rearranging where we have everything that makes sense for the comptrollers.
Perfect. Anybody from the board have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Where are we now? Old business, yeah. Nothing? New business, a little bit there.
Yeah, so I'll go through, first of all, to the community. We originally had a June 13th board meeting scheduled. We will be moving that meeting to June 6th at the same time as we always start, which is 6:30. Again, and we will post that. All jokes aside about Teacher Appreciation Day versus week, I sent out an email to staff today, our instructional staff. It comes up every year, but I think we've talked year in and year out after COVID about the importance of our teaching staff, what they do for our kids in this district. We are very blessed to have a great relationship with the East Hampton Teachers Association. We work together hand in hand, and I never leave here not thinking that we do things in the best interest of the children in this district. And I personally want to thank them for their hard work. Tim deals and works with the union more than anybody, and I can tell you the meetings that I'm in are excellent and very productive. And I know they're appreciated all the time, but I know today was the day and tomorrow, next week's the week. But my wife's playing this card too, and she's a teacher, so she thinks it's the next 4 weeks. But you know, yeah. So, but it is very, you know, it is important, and we are very lucky to have the staff we have here. And I know a lot of other districts are very into this. Reminder, our first reminder, the budget vote and election is May 16th, 2023, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. at East Hampton High School District Office side of the building. Sam, Audit Committee update?
The Audit Committee met last week. Favorite meeting of the year. We had all three of our auditors there. It was honestly exciting.
Sorry, I missed it. I was on vacation.
It was very good.
I didn't have to be said.
I filled in for you.
Did you? Thank you.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, the Audit Committee got a plan from the external auditor about what the audit plan is for us starting in the summer for the period that will end June 30th, the annual period end June 30th. The board also heard from the committee also heard from the internal auditor with his audit on our fixed asset program. I think, and I don't want to speak for the members, the board members who are there, but I think he's actually said we're doing a lot of things good and a couple of things we can tighten up on. And then the board have heard from the claims auditor, who said he has seen a lot of improvements to what we've been doing in the last 6 or 8 months that he's been with us. So
Right.
I'm very happy about that. And I don't know, I kind of want to speak for the board members.
Well, I try to get that. They've dealt with us quite a bit, and they deal with a lot of other schools. So at the end, I try to get them to give us a vote from 0 to 10.
Great.
How good are we? And by the way, we're gonna vote too on how good you are.
I don't know if they answer.
And we didn't,
No.
they
They don't seem to answer those
couldn't
questions.
get a number out of it. But I would imagine that, you know, looking at their report and the thoroughness that they go at, I would imagine we're doing pretty good. You know, and we've always had a good relationship with our auditors. God help us. But they've got to find things that are not working right, and I think they do.
There's always room for improvement.
Facilities, we spoke a little bit about, you know, the middle school, we're getting that floor finally finished, which was covered by insurance, and that'll be done by Milburn, or doing them. High school floor, we're going to be this summer doing.
This summer, the high school gym floor is being sanded down, repainted, all new lines, and so that's going to look great. There's a number of other projects that are going to happen this summer that were approved by the board in the repair reserve resolution that we did in November. And we started talking about what we'd like to see in the next allocation of money, appropriation of money from the repair reserve. Bring that to the board when we're ready.
All right. Back to public comment. At the LDV, do we have anybody for public comment on the line?
There's nobody on the line.
All right. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a
I
motion.
move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, LDV. I have money for you.